Hey everyone, in this video we'll be looking at a small Node.js application which I vibe coded using QWEN code. This application is kind of helping me in generating documentation for a VBCS application. So if you have worked with any VBCS application before, you would know that documenting the standard stuff like the business object, service connection, everything, even though it is simple, it is kind of time consuming process, I would say, right? So I try to create a simple application which would help me in generating it faster. So okay, and I generated everything. The entire application, Node.js application, was vibe coded with QWEN code. This was connected to my VS code using kilo code. So basically kilo code is using QWEN code behind the scenes in order to assist me in developing this application. Let's see this application, how it is working, right? So to demonstrate this, I have downloaded a sample VBCS application from the VB cookbook. Okay, I just took at random any of the applications. So I just took this batch editable table, I clicked on download, and I exported the source code of this application. Now this source code is present in my folder. I would right click and extract this application here, right? So this extraction, after this files are extracted, I would go to my VS code and run my utility, right? So my utility is present in this path, and I would run a node command to run the Node.js application. Let's wait for this extractions to complete. Great. Okay. So now if you see, we have the application unzipped here, and if I go to my VS code, source code, yeah, so I have the batch editable table BDP folder with all the source code which I downloaded. Now in my VS code, let me run the command which will run this application, right? So if you see the logs, what it is generating, so it is trying to find out the files. It is documenting the business object, service connections, web applications, and the good thing with this is it is using artificial intelligence to document some of the stuff. Okay, so once the document is generated, I'll show you the output clearly. So it generates a Markdown file with the documentation. Markdown is kind of a standard in any a web application, right? So it will generate a Markdown file, which I will show you. Right. So documentation is completed. So it writes the Markdown file into the same folder under docs. And now if you open this Markdown and if you preview this, right? So if you see, we have the application, and these are boilerplate codes, right? So whatever is the requirement for the application, you can fill in. The actual documentation starts from here. So it was generated on such and such dates, and then first thing that it documents is the business objects. This is nothing but simple parsing of the entity JSON files with whatever are the type, name, and the different attributes of that JSON file for each and every business objects. Okay. And once the business objects are documented, the next thing it would document is the service connections. So for each and every service connection, whatever is the server URL and whatever are the endpoints within that particular service connection with the method and the operation IDs, it would document that. Okay. Till here, I think these are straightforward parsing of the JSON files and putting it into the Markdown, right? So now coming to the actual web application, which it is documenting, the usage of AI comes into picture here, right? So in a VBCS application, we'll have multiple action chains or multiple JS functions, right? So this is listing all those functions, and it also generates a description. And how is this generating the description? It looks at the source code and it is generating the corresponding descriptions. Okay, if you see here, it for each and every function that is written at the application level, it is generating a description for that. Same way, it will also document the variables within the application level, what are the event listeners, and again, if you see the action chains. So for this action chain, it will read the actual JS code behind that action chain, and then it is try to summarizing that. Okay. Same way, we have the shell page, we have the flow level, so it will document everything here. So let me go to the end, right? So to give you an example, so the actual page, it also generates this summary of the HTML using AI. So it reads the HTML content of that file, and it is generating a summary of that HTML file. Along with that, also generates the summary of the functions that are created in that particular page, and also the variables used, and the action chains, and the summary. Okay, so the three places where AI is used are to summarize the action chains, to summarize the JS functions, summarize this JS function, to summarize the action chains, and to summarize the HTML content. So these are the three places where AI is used. The rest of the places are straightforward parsing of the JSON files to document the business object, service connection, or variables, or event listeners, right? So yeah, so eventually, yeah, you would, I think, need to go through this documentation and make sure it is generating it properly, because end of the day, it is an AI document, AI generated summary, right? But I hope this will help everyone in generating a documentation faster. And one more thing, last point which I wanted to make, hope, since Oracle is integrating a lot of AI into all of its application, I hope someday Oracle can integrate something like this into the existing VBCS as a tool, right? So for each and every application, I remember for integrations, I think there is a new feature which is coming up wherein we can generate the documentation in OIC, right? Similar way, if Oracle can work on something similar for VBCS application, that would be helpful. I think they can do it much better than what I have vibe coded, right? But yeah, thanks for